Television. My name is Joshua Ishal, welcoming you to another interesting episode of the program Back to Farm. Back to Farm is a program that tells you what you need to do and not to do when it comes to you going into agriculture. And today on the program, we happen to have a very big fish in the house, and the person of the director of livestock department in the Agricultural Research Council of Nigeria. He happens to be a chief veterinary doctor, which is the peak of it when it comes to practicing being a veterinary doctor anywhere in the world. And his name is Dr. Danjuma Kida. Good day, it's good to have you, sir.
Thank you very much. You are welcome to Livestock Department. Like you rightly said, my name is Dr. Kida Danjuma. I'm the Director of Livestock Department. Livestock Department is one of the technical departments of the Agricultural Research Council of Nigeria, and we are responsible for all the mandates that is concerned with livestock and anything related with livestock. That is the general mandate of the council. All the mandate of council that is, involved with livestock and any other livestock activities, we function very well in that regard. And in this, our department, we have 3 divisions. That is the small and large animal division. Then we have the farming system division, and we have the animal and public health division. And by virtue of the mandate given to us, from the mandate of the council, there are 2 National Agricultural Research Institutes and 3 Federal Colleges of Agriculture that are directly within our division. And these are the National Veterinary Research Institute, VOM, in Jos. We also have the National Agricultural Production Research Institute, National Animal Production Research Institute in Shika, Zaria. And then we have the Federal College of Animal Health and Protection Technology in VOM, and the Federal College of Animal Protection Technology in Ibadan, and also the Federal College of Veterinary and Livestock Technology in Jos. These are directly within our supervision. So by virtue of that also, all the other related universities, that have anything to do with livestock, for example, the colleges of agriculture, and also the faculties of veterinary medicine, the faculties of agriculture in the universities are also directly within our purview as a department. That is by virtue of extension of our mandate to these institutions. We also have faith-based organizations that are into livestock research, and also private even organizations that may be into livestock research. They are also all within our purview. So thank you for that. That's briefly our mandate. And when you look at it, by virtue of our mandate also, for example now, the National Veterinary Research Institute has the mandate of research into animal diseases, their treatment and control. And by virtue of that, they are into production of livestock medications and livestock vaccines. For example, we have the PPR, Pest-Des-Petits Ruminantes vaccines for sheep and goat. We have the foot and mouth disease vaccines for cattle. And then we have the contagious bovine pleuropneumonia vaccines for also cattle.
Before we go into the program proper, I would like to ask you, you've risen to the post of a chief veterinary doctor, which is the peak of it. What prompted you into being a veterinary doctor, and how has the journey been so far for you?
Actually, when I was growing up, I grew up in a family that we also have vets, because my elder brother is a veterinarian. So that time when we used to see them going to the universities, we keep wondering what prompted them into going into veterinary medicine. And we observed that all the doctors around, or most of the doctors in the town, are human doctors. In fact, most of the people don't know of even what is or who is a veterinary doctor. So it's out of curiosity, one, and then out of the passion that I have for animals. Because when we were growing up, we do this animal herding. That is after school. Anyway, I grew up in a small town. So we used to rear, our parents used to rear Yeah, in Gombe, in Kaltungo,
Okay.
Kaltungo town. They used to rear, a small number of animals. So after school, we used to take these animals outside to the outskirts of the town, to graze them. So, we used to play with them, and it always raises my curiosity so much that, okay, supposing now these animals are sick, we will take care of them,
Wow.
So that prompted me later on, to go into veterinary medicine, and I'm happy for that.
Now let's go into the program. So what is livestock production generally?
Livestock production is simply the rearing and breeding of farm animals for purposes of meat or other products from the livestock. For example, hides, skin, hooves, and so on and so forth. Even the manure that you can get from the animals. But still notwithstanding, sometimes the purpose may just be for, to fulfill traditional values. For example, the Fulani man, he is rearing his cattle or his intellectual production because of tradition. Sometimes it's not because of the profit he can get out of it. So, but in the real sense of it, livestock production, for those who are into it for a profit, is just to get something out of it. You produce it, you get something out of it. So simply and briefly, that's the essence of livestock production. Yeah.
Okay, in terms of going into livestock production, what is the best way to start in livestock production in general? What are the first things you need to look into before you venture into it?
Yeah, that is a very interesting question. The best way to start livestock production is, first, you should have interest in even that business or even the livestock production.
Not the money aspect?
Not money first, the interest. Okay. Because I will tell you why. Okay. You will come to a certain time in the production system that you will be so disappointed. And if there is no interest, definitely you can't make any headway. Wow. So that interest first, okay, I'm interested in this business. Then after developing that interest, then you develop, a business plan, what you really want to do, the type of animals that you want to rear. Okay. Then you engage the services of an animal scientist, a nutritionist, or a veterinarian also to be part of, the business plan, because they are the ones that will guide you, on what you should have on the farm, like giving direction. And then you will also need to have the financial strength. But in a situation where you are not strong, you can go for loan, maybe bank loan, and so on and so forth, that can support the business. Then you should also have a land or a site where you do the business. Sometimes if the business, for example, is a big farm, a large farm, then you can get even a land, outside, maybe in the outskirts of the town where you can get it. Maybe you can buy it, you can lease the land, for the business. So that land may also be there. And it is also depending on the land that you will base your projections for maybe the number of animals that you will put in that place. For example, if it is within the vicinity of a compound, maybe that you are living in, maybe one small area, that means it's a limited area. So the animal population will be small.
Yes.
Definitely. So it depends also on how big you want the business to be. That will also translate into how big the land you are going to use. So when you get all these things on ground, then you also, look for sources of feed, where you can get the feed. Because if you go into business and then the feed are not available, you will run into trouble. And then also the sourcing, even the sourcing of the livestock, very good sources. For example, if it is a poultry business now, you want to go into, and then you don't have a good source of poultry, day old chick, you might likely run into a problem, because sometimes the hatcheries may not be, tested hatcheries. So when you start production, you will find out there are a lot of mortalities, and you become discouraged. So you take all these things into consideration.
That leads us to our next question, which is, what is your view on using organic feed for livestock production?
Yes, thank you very much. Because actually now there are a lot of concerns, concerning even feeding of our livestock. When you look at organic feed, yes, it is very good. It is good for the animal. The animal used to perform very well. They gain much. If it is weight, they gain weight. If it is immunity, they are well immune in most cases. And then you get a lot of profit, from using organic feed for your livestock production or for your livestock farm. But the problem with inorganic feed is that if you use it sometimes, because of the chemical, and also drug residue that you find in the animals, which will later on translate into consumption by human beings, and it becomes problem, you see. So we have to be very careful. In fact, it's even one of the reasons that most of our livestock products, meat and so on, we are not exporting it to, for example, the EU or even the US. In fact, Africa in general, I think the last time was only Botswana that was exporting meat to EU countries. It's all because of this drug residue. For example, now, we dose an animal, and the farmer feels he's in need of funds or money, which he's supposed to maybe stay for like 30 days before, any decision is taken concerning that animal. He will just decide to sell it maybe after a few days. With the drug still inside the animal, he will sell it to the market. It will be slaughtered, people will still eat it, and then the drug, will now go into human beings, and it will become a problem. So it's because of this drug residue, and even the chemicals. We just buy every type of chemical and premix this and add it to our animal or livestock feed. All these things have effect later on in the human beings that are consuming it. So the best is organic feed. But the problem is where to find commercial quantity of organic feed. It's usually very difficult, especially if you are in commercial production. You find it very difficult to get the feed. So we most of the time go for, inorganic feed.
What are the most dangerous effects that affect livestock production, and what are the ways to reduce these dangers?
Okay, I can say the most dangerous factors, that affect livestock production, among them are diseases, the issue of diseases, because diseases can wipe away, your farm just at once, and you will see that you make a very big loss. So diseases is a factor that one should be very critical about. For example, now, if you are into poultry production, we have diseases like Newcastle disease. We have the cases of this HPI, that's highly pathogenic avian influenza, that can wipe away a whole flock of, birds at once. So you see, it's a very critical factor, diseases, and the way to handle disease is to do the proper and the needful concerning the animal health. So that involves use of vaccination. Vaccine is a means of what? Protection against diseases. So you vaccinate your animals, based on, the schedule or based on the regiment of the vaccines. Don't miss a regiment of vaccine. If it is poultry, if it is livestock, for example, you vaccinate your animals against foot and mouth diseases. If it is like cattle, if it is sheep and goat, pes des petits ruminantes vaccination, you should do it, and all other vaccines that are necessary for livestock production, you do it on the farm. So you take care of diseases, okay? And then we have the issue of also worms. Most of the farmers, just produce the animals and will never even deworm their animals, even once, So deworming is very important, because if you do not deworm the animals will be competing with worms for even the food they are eating. Yeah, they will compete with worms inside them. So you find out that they will be eating, but they will not be what? Gaining weight, and even the productivity will be very low. They won't be producing, because of worms. And in some cases also, they'll be sucking blood out of, the animals, yes. And also the problem of ectoparasites. That is the parasite like ticks,
Okay. Yeah, ticks, yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
They suck a lot of blood and even transmit diseases to the livestock. So you have to take care of all these things. So like ticks now, you spray the animals. We spray them with chemicals that will kill the ticks. And then those of the ones that are inside the animals, that is the endoparasites, you use dewormers, we call them, or anti-helminths, to destroy them so that they are passed out with the animals.
Alright, in terms of deworming, does it mean every animal needs to be dewormed? Or there are some animals that specifically don't need deworming? Because I believe when it comes to having a poultry, do they really need to be dewormed as well?
Yeah, every animal needs to be dewormed, even poultry. Yes, we have dewormers for poultry. We do very well. Yes, all animals, we have dewormers for all animals.
Okay.
We deworm them, yes.
Okay, now what is the difference between open grazing and ranching in terms of profit making? This issue of grazing and then ranching and the rest. What is the difference in terms of profit making?
Okay, yes. That's a very good and at this period of time, actually, it's a very good question. Well, you see, ranching is a sort of animal production that is under control. That is, you control it. You have all the necessary facilities on ground, and you also have a grazing land, very big grazing land, where the animals can be grazing, and then you have also the ability to control even the type of grasses they'll feed, because you can even plant. We plant pasture grasses. You plant it so that they grow for animals to use specific grasses, to give them that nutrient exactly that you like. So in ranch you have that. And you have a very big open grazing land where the animals can feed very well. And then after feeding, you can supplement them with also concentrate. That is food, other feed, that have some ingredients that they cannot get in the feed. Exactly. So you supplement them with it. And then you also have the privilege, of, treating them. That is giving them all the necessary vaccination, all the necessary treatment, like I mentioned, deworming and so on. Because in the ranch, you also have a veterinary, in fact, in established ranches, you have a veterinary clinic. You can even have a human clinic. Because all those people staying there, that's where they stay. They don't even go to the town clinic and so on and so forth. In fact, in some, even they have schools where the children of those managing the ranch will go. You see, so it's a well-managed and established livestock production system. That's ranching. And because they don't just roam about anyhow, they eat, they convert the feed into what? Productivity. You see them gaining weight, you see them producing milk, very high amount of milk, and so on and so forth, because they are not wasting, the feed. Exactly. But in the open grazing, you see, the animals are just left like that. Just eat anything they can find, You find out that there's even no supplementation. They can just eat and come back like that. Or just,
Some are poisonous.
Exactly. Some of these plants are poisonous. They can easily kill them. There's no control. They graze and they overgraze. They graze and overgraze because you don't have control over what they do on the field. So it causes a lot of problem. And then one of the major problems of the urban grazing, because it is not controlled, we have the problem of going into crop farms. So that is where the word farmer-herder clash will come. You see, there's no control. They will just, maybe you find out it's just one small boy like that, controlling hundreds of cattle. His man will be there, other cattle will be on the other side. So he cannot have maximum control over them. And then there is the issue of wastage. They eat a lot of grasses, but they use the grass to move about. And when there is no more grass, in that place, you travel kilometers to find another grazing land. So you see, you are just like suffering for nothing. Because one, the animals are not, they will be dilapidated. They won't show good condition. Even milk production, the food that they are going to use for milk, the feed and the energy will not be there, for milk production. So it affects productivity. So the best is ranching. But we can also customize our own ranching here. Not like we do, like they do, abroad or something like that. So that is where also the issue of, although I cannot say it to be the right thing, like Ruga. Ruga is like just a settlement, of people or herders in one place where they won't be just roaming about, but it will be provided with all the necessary facilities, that they can use. The watering system or watering point, in fact, even the clinic, veterinary clinic can be there. Even school for the kids can be there. So we customize it in order to suit our own purpose. That's our own ranching. We can do it, of course. Yeah. So it will be the best, or the better for us, instead of just the open grazing that we have now.
We are still onto the program Back to Farm, and like I rightly told you, we happen to have the Director, Livestock Department in the Agricultural Research Council of Nigeria, in the person of Dr. Danjuma Kida. And of course, he's been telling us more about livestock production and everything that has to do with livestock in general. And of course, before we go, let's have one or two few questions before we wrap up the show. Okay, so what are the best livestock production management strategies?
I can say the best ones, is to have time. Time is of essence. You must be, always, taking charge or aware. You should be aware of all the practices that are going on the farm. Some people will just, even if there is a manager, they will just fold their hands, thinking that a manager is there, so, things will go on well. Sometimes it's not like that. So you should have time, especially livestock animals, like when you are producing poultry. You also should also be there, to see how the management is going on. And then one other strategy is to ensure that you have all, the health, resources on ground that you need without rushing out. For example, if on the farm an animal is sick, you don't need to be rushing about looking for a vet outside. You may have a vet that is maybe a consultant on your farm, so you can even call him, on the phone, so that you will come and see it. And if it is just simple management that, you can do it by yourself, the vet can even, show you how to do it without necessarily calling him. But it's good to call his attention. So the issue of health also is also very good. That is a strategy. Then you should also have a very good source of your feed to feed your animals. Once you have a very good source, at any time you can get the feed, And then the issue of, even the location of the farm. Get a place where the weather is not so harsh. For example, if you are bringing in Frisian or foreign exotic breeds on your farm, they are not used to our weather. Okay? So when you bring them in, you ensure that the environment you keep them are in such a way that it mimics the ones they were used exactly. So in most cases, some people plant trees, around, and then vegetations, to make the place cool and so on, like garden, something like that. But the animals are there. And even the housing, you ensure that it is well ventilated and well protected from the heat, of the sun and so on and so forth. So all these are very key, to livestock production.
In terms of self-medication in livestock production, this has actually resulted in a lot of losses in terms of poultry and farm. What can you say to farmers who are watching about consulting a professional, not to resort to self-medication in terms of administering drugs in the animals?
Yeah, thank you very much for that question. Actually, the health of an animal is critical. So my advice is that do not on your own self-medicate your livestock. Don't ever do that, because you may end up even killing the animal. So what you do is, first and foremost, consult a veterinarian if you don't have one as a consultant. Get one to come and see it. He is in the best position to analyze the situation and also provide solution to the problem of the livestock or animal. Don't ever use, because one, you may overdose the animal, or you may underdose the animal, you see, or you may even use fake drug. You go to the market where they sell, sorry to say that, when you go to some market now, cattle market, you'll see animal drugs, on the being spread inside the sun like that, being sold, so automatically these drugs cannot work. because even the heat of the sun exactly has already deteriorated them. So, but if you say you go there and buy it, you will be injecting your animal, no result exactly. So please consult a vet, or someone that is a professional in the animal health sector. Is the one that will give you the best advice concerning your livestock.
One last one is in terms of advising the young ones coming up, probably who wants to go into veterinary or into farming. What are your thoughts? What is the key thing they should actually look up to?
Well, the key thing is first of all to be dedicated, because the foundation has to be very strong. For example, now if you want to be a vet, from your secondary school also you should develop, that passion exactly for being a vet, so that when you come to write maybe your WAEC, NECO, JAM and so on, you perform very well, and get the marks that will get you admitted for that course, because it's highly competitive, vet. Despite the fact that we don't have much vet in the country. We started veterinary medicine just lately. It's not a very old profession like other professions, exactly. So we still need more vets. Have a passion for that. And even animal production, we need, that is why in some of our programs now in the AROCs, we have what we call this school farmers, young farmers club. Okay. So in those young farmers club, we have clubs that deal with livestock production. In those clubs, we teach them how to produce like poultry, small animals like sheep and goats, so that within the school they can produce it, then take it and sell it, and then they use the profit to also do other things for themselves without going to the parents to look for money. For example, now all these youths that are saying there's no job, get a small amount, get a small place. You don't need a very big place. Start something, a poultry production farm. Just start it. You'll find out that within a very short time, you won't have even space to continue. You'll be looking somewhere else, to continue with this. Do something. Animal production is one of the ways that can employ the youth, I tell you. So they can go into that, but let them have the passion. Yes. Thank you very much. Yes.
Well, on that note, we come to an end of the program Back to Farm here on Agricultural Research Council of Nigerian Television. We've been speaking with none other person but the Director of Livestock Department, Agricultural Research Council of Nigerian Television, Dr. Danjuma Kida, a Chief Veterinary Officer, and of course he's enlightened us more on how to go into livestock production and everything that has to do with it. I'm sure maybe we will definitely make this our home as we come probably to talk on other issues bordering on livestock production. Stay with Agricultural Research Council of Nigerian Television, because agriculture happens to be the new boom, even better than oil. So stay here so you can be enlightened on how to also venture into agriculture. Until some other time. Okay. All right, Doctor, thank you very much for happening to give us your time in your busy schedule. We really do appreciate it. We don't take it for granted. It's really nice and honor. And I hope your door will be open anytime we come soon. All right, now thank you very much, sir. We appreciate it. All right, my name is Joshua Ishaya. Thank you for being a part of the program. Please stay with Agricultural Research Council of Nigerian Television, where agriculture is exposed to its peak.